India is a very price-sensitive market. It's also a very brand-sensitive market.
People buy fragrances for bottle design as well. So how much weightage does the bottle design hold?
You know, I was attacked by this question 5 years ago. He was like, दीदी हमारे लिए तो बहुत महंगा है आपका परफ्यूम, हम बहुत लगाते हैं परफ्यूम, थोड़ा तो कुछ अच्छा करो. And it really, I don't know, it did something. And I was like, wait, Aastha, you're not catering to everyone.
5 years back, no one could have thought, that ordering perfumes would be the next big thing.
So me being a 4th generation perfumer and all that is okay. The idea was for New Yorkers to be like, it smells like India.
It's like from India to the world.
We all go to shops and we love to smell the masculine side. So why not procure it and wear it?
Saw that you have a perfume priced at around 22,000. So are you entering the luxury perfume space?
Just because it's viral doesn't mean it's good.
Hello and welcome back to another episode by Just Because. Today we have Astha Suri with us from NASO. Hi Astha.
Hello, thanks for having me here.
The pleasure is all mine. So Astha, tell me, in a world where every second brand is running after dupes, you are one of the flag bearers of creating Indian origin scents with mogra, with mud. So how's the journey been? Why have you chosen this direction?
I think it was the most organic direction for me to choose, I didn't want to born a brand which was gimmicky. I did not want to release perfumes in the market and have people I know smell and be like, oh, I've smelt it in Paris and I've smelt it in London and I've smelt it in New York. The idea was for New Yorkers to be like, it smells like India. And we don't have that in any perfumeries, globally. Even if you see thick ingredients from India, locally sourced, locally manufactured, exported. For example, the rose and the mud and the grass, huge perfume houses procure this from India, but there's no marketing done as such for the country. There's no attention given to our resources as much. It's all in the back end. It's all in the manufacturing world. So the idea was to bring, the idea was simply to make our generation link to Ayurveda. But I didn't want to born another Forest Essentials. I didn't want to born another Karma because that's again, something which people have already mastered and tailored in doing. The idea was how to pour a millennial soul into a brand which is relevant to Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Meta, also Gen X, so it had to be relevant. And Indian original ingredients are the most real things that seem, organic to me. So the idea was to pick out these beneficial ingredients and glamorize them and make them out into EDPs and home scents and body scents. So that's kind of where it started.
I'm sure one of your bestseller fragrances is also something that is very Indian origin.
Yes.
Is it rose?
The mud infused in oud made a lot of noise because it was inspired by the Gili Mitti Ki Khushbu.
Yeah.
And it's got vetiver khas as its base. It's got a very animalic form of oud in it. People are very used to smelling a synthetic oud in the market, which is at a very reasonable ticket price, but that is not essentially pure oud. So the idea was to bring about a little bit of realness in mud oud and to get that grassy feeling that us Indians smell in the monsoons, and we're so nostalgic with it, and it smells like home, and bringing it to the global front was very exciting. So mud oud did really well.
Nice. So it's like from India to the world.
Exactly. From our houses to the world.
From our houses to the world.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. So can you share what is the maximum number of bottles you've sold for a particular bestseller scent?
I would say about 1,000 bottles have been sold till date for saffron musk and still in counting. And pepper wood is another very, very pungent clove and cardamom predominant flavor, which is surprisingly sold about 700 to 900 bottles. And these figures are obviously just out of my recent checks, which is about 22 to 25, and I'm not counting the COVID years because they were trial and error years for us. So I think a total of about 15,000 bottles have been sold. I remember as a 24-year-old, I procured, it was daunting to procure 10,000 and 20,000 bottles, and I was just like running around to these vendors and vendor uncles, I call them, because they're so sweet that they kind of entertained a 24-year-old and just gave her like the most minimum quantity ever. But I told them, I was like, I'll prove the brand and I'll definitely come back to you, and that's what happened. And after 5 years now, we are almost in place of refurbishing our quantity of bottles, which is a very good sign.
So, as you mentioned before, that you have moved away from, typical gendered fragrances for male, for female. So, in India, India is a tricky market. They want, this is for men, this is for females. So, how has that journey been creating a genderless fragrance?
I think it's all about perception and reality for Indian audience. There's a great chunk in perception, there's a great chunk in what is trendy for us. So gender neutral fragrances, at the time NASO launched, was not really a thing in India. Nobody marketed themselves as gender neutral or gender fluid fragrances. Obviously in your high-end side you also know, okay, this is more masculine, this is more feminine, but it's more condition oriented. It's the way we've been conditioned to smell a rose and call it girly, and to smell a musk and call it manly. I, coming from a very recent norm-core state of education with design, with functionality, with interiors, fashion and all of that, I feel like art cannot be genderized and it cannot be segmented onto a male or a female. There's no masculine or feminine predominance in us as humans. There's an equal masculine side to every girl and an equal girly side to every girl, and then same for the men. So we tried to play with that, and it was very difficult to map out 6 flavors, make sure people like them, people resonate with them, people find it nostalgic, people can ditch the Chanels for this. Was not a very optimistic sight, let me, for the lack of a better word, use that at the NASO office. And we were time and day told that whether these sell or not, we don't know. There's a big risk to take for a 24-year-old, giving her 12,000 bottles and all of these random flavors. But the idea was to make the ingredients the hero. So if it's a rose, lemon and mint, we focused on how rose and mint bring the healing properties. If it's a pepper and wood, we're focusing on black pepper, clove, cardamom, cedar wood to bring us functional properties. So when you look at it in that spectrum, there's no gender behind any ingredient. What may seem great to me may seem really bad to you, and vice versa. And most men like women.
And women like
Love men fragrances. We are all in depth of that. We all go to shops and we love to smell the masculine side. So why not procure it and wear it? And I feel it settles in well as well. So the idea was to make it very gender neutral and to reach all sorts of audience. And I think that did really well for us because it broadened the spectrum. We got a lot of interesting men coming up to us and being like, we would never wear jasmine, but this basil and jasmine is so good. And they would come and tell us blackcurrant and lilac sounds like a very girly Victoria's Secret flavor, but it's got a very deep underlay of cedar wood. It's got very explicit pomegranate usage and blackcurrant usage, which makes it very gender neutral. So it's very interesting for us as perfumers and us as a first time Indian perfumery brand to mark this difference in our market. And it helped us to sort of further amalgamate these flavors and formulas and make it more unique. So it kind of helped us not to copy and paste and make dupes out of anything just for the sole purpose of it selling. I feel like the markets are used to those smells since generations, and there's definitely about time that niche fragrance houses make it a ordeal for the audience to sort of try their hands out.
Personally, I'm not a fan of gendered fragrances. I've never thought of fragrance whenever I buy that. Is it for female or is it for male? Even today, I'm wearing a men's fragrance. I don't care.
I went out shopping when I was in college, and I'd go to the men's section and I'd try and test and maybe pick one up, and the shopkeeper would be like, "Ma'am, are you buying it for your boyfriend?" And I'm like, "No, sir, like it's for me, like I am the boyfriend."
What is your customer demographic like? I'm interested in that.
90% would be, country-wise or gender-wise?
Like age or like tier 1, tier 2.
I would say we started off with a tier 1 customer base, and soon after we delved into the tier 2 market in a very smooth manner. So it's about 60-40, where 60% are men, 40% is women. Women are difficult to sort of change their perception of signature scents. And if one woman is using, Chance Chanel for like 25 years, she's not going to change it. But she may add a basil and sambac and layer it with that to confuse the audience, because all her friends are smelling of Chance Chanel too. So the idea was to be very unique with this, and that's why I think we're still in the midst of impressing the women with our scents and hitting those notes that can compete with your French perfumes. And I would be surprised, but South of India has a very great chunk of noses. And when I launched the brand in Delhi, we were hit with COVID within 2 years, and then we went off. We did not sort of keep ourselves limited to Delhi or NCR or the North or the South or whatever. We literally went with our feeling and our the audience that was recognizing us. And surprisingly, audience in Pondicherry, Kerala, Udupi, Coimbatore, Bangalore, Goa, Bombay was extremely enthusiastic. So the attention I got from these places in the country was overwhelming. It was so accepting.
You went offline. Congratulations on your newest store in Lucknow.
It was a good 5-year mark for us.
How's the store coming? Why Lucknow?
So Lucknow is where I'm from.
Oh.
Lucknow is where the distillery is at. Lucknow is where we're born, we're raised, our ground is there. So the first store for the baby, NASO, had to be born in Lucknow, and there was no other way I was doing it anywhere else. I feel like my people need to see what is born out of the city, and there is so many perfumeries that are so great over there. So the idea of NASO being a modern day green perfumery, clean perfumery, gender neutral, normcore, all of these things are new subjects for the city, and the idea was to introduce the city to this, to make them see that, okay, the attars you buy in Janpat is one thing, and then the attars we make at NASO is also the same thing, but look at the difference. So I think I always say perfume selling, perfume branding, perfume marketing is one thing, but perfume education is a very big part of what we do at NASO.
5 years back, no one could have thought, that ordering perfumes would be the next big thing. And now even the brands who never thought of getting into perfumes are now getting into perfume.
Yeah, everyone wants to be a perfumer. Everyone wants to have a fragrance brand. It's the new it thing.
So why this wave happened all of a sudden?
I think it was the next big thing. I mean, India had luxury shoes, luxury bags, luxury clothes, luxury jewelry, luxury liquor, luxury food, luxury hotels. The only thing that we didn't really tap on was beauty. And of course, Forest Essentials made a huge mark on everybody's dressing tables. Kama came in with a huge mark on everyone's bathrooms. And then NASO came in, making a huge mark on their fragrance collection, because I think there's an Indianness about everything we do in the raw sense, which really works. And if you trust that, if you trust your core, if you trust your ground where you come from, if you trust what your land gives you, you are sort of marking your territory or marking your narrative very strongly in front of the world. You have nobody to really compete with, or you have nobody to really discern you or be scared of or be competitive with, because your stories are completely different. So I don't call myself being competing with a Gucci or a Christian Dior perfume or a Louis Vuitton perfume, because what I am doing is very different. I would rather compete with a Diptyque in the market or a Acqua di Parma in the market, because what are these brands doing? They are bringing in what they enrich and what they are very good at and broadening that to the world. So I mean, I only look at inspirations like Sabyasachi and Manish Malhotra and Anita Dongre and Anamika Khanna, and they're huge names in the industry. And why are they in NYC, and why are people going crazy over there?
Because they are authentic.
They're authentic, and that to me means everything. I mean, I think I was early on to realize that I always wanted to create, and whether or not it was fragrance or clothing or painting, it was something to do with blending and my hands.
So as you mentioned, that you wanted to create a luxury experience from India. I saw that you have a perfume priced at around 22,000. So are you entering the luxury perfume space, because luxury comes with some amount of heritage attached to it?
Absolutely. I think we've not just entered it this year, we've been a part of the luxury space since the past 5 years. The idea was to create a luxury fashion brand. Now, luxury can mean very different to you and I both.
Yeah.
Like you said, handcraftedness, you said heritage. That's something we're born with. So, to see these farmers and to see my generations working in the sphere of perfumery for the past 80 years now was luxurious to me. When I went to the Dake and the steam distillation units and I saw these farmers spending days and hours of their day, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's raining, devoted to creating that attar for us, which we've been creating for the past 80 years to provide for the perfumes, the cosmetics, the beauty that we provide to, that was luxury. For me to see my father making this one compound he's been working on for the past 30 years now. I'm 29, he started it when I was 1 year old. It's been 29 years now and he's still not perfected it. As per him, I think it's perfect. But that is luxury to me. So delving into the handcraftedness, having a heritage, even if you don't, I mean, delving into the intricacies of things is luxury. And I think India is the flag bearer of luxury, no matter today or from the Kohinoor days. I think handcraft, artisanal value, and the kind of craftsmanship our country offers is just exceptional. So me being a fourth generation perfumer and all that is okay, but for us to actually make these blends be handcrafted and mind mapped with a perfumer working behind is what luxury is. So I again will repeat that I'm not competing with the luxury brands of fragrance or the commercial fragrance brands that we see in the market, but there's a niche fragrance side to the whole industry. That is where NASO places itself. That is who NASO is, and that is who we compete with. So niche is more my segment because it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I'm sure that it will be in a couple of years, and the goal is to make NASO light in everyone's houses in the country. So 2 billion people, and that's where my clock is ticking.
Nice. So you have you have a premium price point. So when a customer pays a premium price point, they have some customer psychology where it goes to the bottle design. People buy fragrances for bottle design as well. So how much weightage does a bottle design hold?
I was attacked by this question 5 years ago when I was working on my bottling, and so many friends and family were like, but your bottle is very simple and I don't think I will get attracted to it. If it's next to a Paco Rabanne or a Marc Jacobs bottle with all the paraphernalia of honeybees and flowers, what is a straight line bottle going to do to me? So the idea was, Muskan, to create the juice and to let the juice do all the talking. We simply played with straight lines and curves, like how a baby learns in school, A, B, C, D. For us in design, it was lines and line drawings. So we started with a straight line rectangular bottle and a straight line square bottle. We've diversified into a straight line hexagon bottle and a straight line curve bottle. So the story is because we started from scratch and we are a day zero growing brand. That was our ABCD, the bottle design, the structure of what our delivery of the product looks like. That was our, sort of thought process of the design of the bottle, and to keep it very transparent so that people understand the purity of the oil. If you see a lemon rose mint is clear white. You come to a basil and sambac, it's a golden. You come to a tamarind bergamot, it's a dark golden. You come to a palo santo, it's a darker golden, almost a brown. Then you go to, say, pepperwood, it's a dark brown. Saffron muscat is dark orange, mahogany brown, and so forth. So it starts from being white to being the darkest form of liquid, which is the brand philosophy, from light to dark. We are not gender biased. We want you to experience ingredients from light to dark, or from light to heavy in a layman's language, and that's how the bottle design sort of never struck me more important as the juice. For me, my focus was to create proper juice, to give the delivery of the projection of the scent, to give a good silage, to give a good impact, so that heads do turn when you walk in and out of a room and you are confused as to what is she wearing. It smells like a Gucci guilty, but it's layered with the Sarawak Mazo. What is that other layer? So my goal was to create that inquisitivity in people. And that's what happened. And we weren't very fussed with creating a very fancy bottle, but yes, bottling makes a very important, plays a very important role in perfumery, and we hope that we are able to grasp on that number, that we can create our own mold and create our own design, but we're taking baby steps, and we don't want to have an unhygienic back end to create a standardized bottle in the market to compete with someone who's been doing it for the past 50 years.
Have you bought any bottle design or based on its design?
I feel the bottle craze wasn't even new. I think it started for me when I was like 2-3 years old, because my grandmom would always be collecting these posh bottles and these English ladies and Victorian women, and they would actually open up to be a perfume. And I'd be like, okay, what is this? This is a sculpture, it's an artwork, but it's a perfume. So the fancy standard was there, for me. So to make NASO bottles reach that scale, I was like, we have to work on our brand for those many years to make that kind of a bottle.
I think those things are also better in limited edition.
Exactly.
Everyone can't have those.
Exactly. So I think we are still in our early on years where, yes, we've tapped a good scene in the market, but there's a long way to go. And I still meet people and I'm telling them who I am and what I do, and they're like, oh, I've never heard of NASO. And I find that so exciting, and that's like my opportunity to spread the brand word around.
I see that you are one of those brands who are very heavy on customization and making those experiential events. So what is that consumer insight that led you to okay, let the customer make their own scent?
Oh my God, this question.
Yeah.
So I started making my own perfume again at the age of 2 to 3, because I was born in the sphere and in the family of smells. So I think my sense of smell was always sharp. And I would just mix my dad's Gillette, aftershave, water, rose water, other things, make a concoction and like bring it about and maybe shower with it or put it in my shower, bath or something. Fascination started there until we were 11 years of age, and this is when we had just started a plant-based distillery in Uttarakhand. And my sister and I she was 5, I was 10, and my father took us to the hills, and he was educated there, so he's been very passionate about the hills always. So we're at his distillery unit in the hills, and we're just playing around, kids, and he's like, okay, come, we'll make your own perfumes. And we went to his lab, and we were with the bhaiya over there, and he helped us with ingredients, and we were like, oh my God, is this gold? Like, this is what we have to tackle very carefully. But at the same time, it was kind of like making your own Maggie or making your own salad or making your own food, that you were so interested, okay, like this is my flavor palette and this is not. And I clearly remember this day, because today I'm 29, this is 19 years ago. And we were having the best time, and I think there was this perfume called Dahlia by Givenchy. It came in a very simple glass bottle with a baby pink liquid, and at that time I'd bought that perfume, and it was my first few luxury perfumes that I had bought. I'd gotten the permission to buy, and I remembered that scent so clearly that when I went to the lab and when my sister and I were doing this, I thought of that scent, I kept that scent in my memory, and I created something, and I made my father smell it, and he's like, oh, it smells like that perfume you wear. I didn't tell him I copied a perfume because I wanted to be, very trained nose and all. But he was like, oh my God, it smells like that. And I was internally feeling like very accomplished. Cut to then and now, that craze obviously went off, slipped off. It was a simple activity, little hobby we did. The idea was never to delve into custom scent design until I mapped these flavors and the idea of functional perfumery became real. Now, when you say functional, everyone has a different side effect way of resonating with herbs, spices, flowers. So customizing came very organically to it, because I would rather have you customize your scent and us code it as a scent code for the rest of our lives, so that you know that you have a scent flavor that you have made at NASO, and you can buy gallons of it, you can put it all over in your house, put it all over in your body. That's aiding benefit to you. The idea was not to give aldehydes and synthetics and allergens and all in a very fancy bottle to then be sold, and then that customer never comes back to me. So that is where customization came in. I enjoyed so much customizing my own smell, and I thought people would enjoy it as much. And at that point, nobody was really doing custom scent design. I don't think they still are. So we take care of it. We have that IP in our website, but people have not been able to pick on it as much. I would say a handful of people have understood the activity and they have done the activity.
Plus, now then this thought also comes that if I see a perfume on your website that is already pre-made, and then I know that I can see the reviews, it's good, it's good, it's good. But then when I see that I can make my scent, even I don't know will it turn out to be good.
Exactly.
So it's a gamble.
It's a gamble, and it's a patient task. It can't happen overnight. It can't happen in a session. You need patience to make it and then keep it and then smell it and then review it and then alter it and then keep it and then smell it. So it's a whole thing. It's like a ideal 3-month process for one particular fragrance to be designed.
So Aastha, there, in the Indian market, there are perfumes starting from rupees 300 as well, and there are perfumes like yours that go up to 20,000 as well. And there is every kind of perfume available in the market. What is the one gap that is still left undiscovered in the perfume industry?
I think it's not undiscovered anymore, because when we launched the brand, it was pretty much discovered. We were providing what a 21 or 25,000 rupee perfume would give you in the market, in international markets, at a 4,000, 5,000 price. That was me stepping into the industry as a 24-year-old, thinking that, okay, wait, I am a millennial, I am in my 4th year of college, and I have a student budget. I want to smell good. And I go to the market, I see Tom Ford at $400, and I see these other major fragrance houses selling the good stuff all at $200 and above, and selling whatever EDT stuff at less than that. And when I smelled that higher ticketed priced article, and I was like, this is not something out of the ordinary. I mean, it smells like my father's car, for all I can say. So why is it so expensive? So I tailored back and I asked my father and I asked everybody in the system that what is the hike and why. So then they explained me a bunch of business things and ingredient based things that go in it. So the idea was always to cover that gap in the market where you spend so much money on international houses, but you're getting the same thing, better sourced, cleaner way, smelling longer from an Indian house. So we tapped that market gap and we created our first range, hitting 2,000, 4,000 and 5,000. So 20 mls went at 2,000, 50 and 100 went at 4 and 5,000 respectively. We ran with this pricing for about 3 years, and at this time the wave of fragrance hadn't come in completely, because it was still a very COVID time, post-COVID phenomena was running. But cut to 2023, suddenly 2022-ish, 23, we saw a absolute blast in the market. And I think that's where these 300 rupee, 500 rupee, 1500 rupee dupes started coming in. And you won't believe, I mean, I was sitting with my husband and our friends, and all the men would come and tell me, but what are you selling at 2,000 if I can get it at 300? And I am just left like, I really don't know how to answer this question, because if you know the quality that's going in that 300 versus the 2,000, you won't ask me this question. But I didn't take it personally, because I was like, that is one person in my periphery. There are thousands and lakhs of people like this in the entire world. So how do we market our juice with a not fancy bottle, being a 5-year-old perfumery, pricing it at a luxury price? The idea was only to give genuine ingredient. So we realized that there is a big market for that, 1200, 1500 range, and why should there not be? I mean, the factory workers and the middle class workers and the men who are running in the heat all day, actually who are sweating, I mean, they need perfumes more and more regularly than people like us sitting in AC rooms working all day. You know, for all we care, we spray ourselves once in a day and we're fine, but those guys have to really use perfumes. So this actually came with me because I had a Nepali chef working at home and he was like, दीदी हमारे लिए तो बहुत महंगा है आपका परफ्यूम, हम बहुत लगाते हैं परफ्यूम, थोड़ा तो कुछ अच्छा करो. And it really, I don't know, it did something. And I was like, wait, Aastha, you're not catering to everyone, you're just catering to a luxury market, and that is great. Tier 1 is great for brand positioning, it's great for giving that ingredient is super, but there is a large chunk of the market not accessing that. Now my philosophy of NASO in every home in the country can't be possible with just serving the 1%, 2% in the country. So we launched a sub-brand in 2023 called the Lab by NASO. Now, we had been thinking about this very long, and the idea was to create accessible luxury perfumery, the same formulation you get at a Salvatore Ferragamo or a Gucci or a Marc Jacobs, but at a price point which is not inflating our margins as much, because we're not exporting this. We are making it here, we're selling it here. So we can save on that cost battle, and we can actually give it at a very reasonable cost for that market of tier 2 and tier 3 to access it.
What is the price point?
So we launched with 2 flavors called Chi and Starry Night, and both gender neutral at 799 rupees. So that kind of sort of entered the market. It marked us as a beginning to sort of get into that range.
And how much was the ml?
100 ml.
100 ml. That's nice.
You know, very beautiful glass bottles, designed to care. Of course, branding had to be, you know, completely on point, and I wasn't with a trail of thoughts that, okay, because it's a cheaper article and it's not making me enough profits, I can just put in whatever in it, tint the bottles and put a cheap label on it, put a cheap pump on and just sell it because I'm getting a major profit there. No, I did not do that. In fact, you'll actually see my hardware and my look and feel is as good as a luxury brand in that segment. So that picked up really well. We saw a different market. We saw a different ideology of people resonating with NASO, wanting a bite of NASO, and that made me feel like, okay, this is also a part of the business that we have to take care of. And then we, you know, went on to launching 3 more flavors at $12.99, $14.99, $13.99, all hitting under 1,500 to make that prominent, and they are doing phenomenally well. In fact, they've opened doors in places I never thought I would be, and that makes my brand more tangible. It gives my brand more weightage because Aam Aadmi knows NASO. So that is the goal, and of course we're not compromising on our luxury, we're not compromising on our niche, we're not compromising on our ingredient, because we at the same time are perfumers, we're doing R&D, we're making smells for our niche range as well. So when we launched the Lab by NASO with 5 fragrances, I think it was about 4 months after that we launched our Puro range, which is the Emirati range. It's made for the UAE GCC side, hitting that 600 Fahrenheit temperature, and those are the articles priced at 21,000, 25,000 rupees. So actually we have 3 ranges now. We have under 1,500, we have 2 to 5,000, and we have 21 to 25,000. So yeah, I don't want anyone to go empty-handed.
There's something for everyone.
Absolutely, and there should be, because this scent is very homegrown. It's, you know, born from India, and at least every Indian must know and wear it with pride.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the one most challenging aspect of creating a luxury brand in India?
Oh my God, I don't have one.
It's a damn price sensitive market. So जब तक हम नींबू और मिर्ची फ्री में ना ले, इंडियंस को मजा नहीं आता.
And India is a very price sensitive market. It's also a very brand sensitive market.
Yeah.
See, India is divided into different parts. The north side is more brand specific. They are more in competition with all your international brand buyers. So there is less renowncy on who and why and narrative and story and all that jazz. Nobody cares. Then there's the south of India. South, East, and South. Very conscious market, conscious crowd, conscious expenditure, conscious buying. Luxury to them is something which is handcrafted and procured in a very real manner and sourced in a clean manner and then provided to you in a luxurious manner. So there is great market there. There was not difficulty in launching the brand and making it sustain because that market really helped us and supported us. But yes, the challenges stay, and I would say there's not one big challenge. I feel like the biggest challenge is how people are super unaware of what brands they are wearing and what goes behind the making. So until that is being educated or being altered by brands or social media, I think we'll always be struggling into the luxury segment. There's also a very big thing of launching your brand internationally and making it sustain and then coming to India so that everybody in India looks at you with a little bit of an edge. I don't relate to that thought process at all. I think things have changed in the past 10 years. This may be a thing in 2012, but within 2019 to 20, it was completely different. In fact, I spoke to a bunch of countries myself and they were like, until you are a brand in your country, don't think about coming to any other country. And there was truth in that.
I've prepared a very interesting game.
Okay.
And so you have to guess the 5 most purchased perfume notes in India
Okay.
in from order wise.
The order. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Purchase notes in India. Okay, interesting. Men or women?
It's like overall total.
Overall thing. Okay. I think currently looking at the oud craze, oud is definitely something every Indian is looking for, whether they're buying luxury.
Food is not in the list.
Really?
Yeah.
What list is that?
Demographic for India. So you have to think.
Have a list ready?
Yeah, it's in front of me.
Okay, cool.
Think from all tiers.
Yeah, I'm thinking from all tiers only, and I feel like oud is a very crazeful concept currently, especially in the tier 2 and tier 3 segments because it's a longer lasting smell.
Yeah, so it's top. It's in top 10, but it's not in top 5.
Yeah, I think jasmine is definitely one of the notes all Indians love.
Jasmine is number 3.
Okay. Thought so. Rose is number 4 or 5.
Rose is second.
Oh, it's second. Interesting.
Yeah.
Then there's lemon. People love citrus.
Citrus is fourth.
Citrus in that family.
Bergamot and lemon.
Bergamot, lemon, lemongrass, orange blossom, all of these come under that. Mandarin oil, everybody loves here. So we've covered rose, we've covered jasmine, we've covered citrus.
Yeah, you are done with 2, 3, and 4. You have to guess first and 5.
I think Indians love lavender. I really feel like lavender, eucalyptus smelling mint, that cooling ingredient family.
That's not in the list.
It's not on the list. Oh my god.
Well, I can give you a hint.
Yeah.
Indian.
Khas. No. Saffron.
Saffron is 5th. Like the 5th is the spicy note, so cardamom, and saffron is 5th.
Oh.
So just first is left now.
Oh my god, I'm very intrigued what this is.
It's a very common Indian note.
Khas, vetiver, sandalwood.
Yeah.
I always tend to forget about sandalwood because it's getting extinct. It's so rare to find, and even though we have a rose santal at NASO, it's taken us so much time to procure that flavor and to market that flavor. People try and stay away from rose and sandalwood, especially because they think they're smelling of a mandir.
Yeah.
But that's not true. It's so cooling, especially in the 40-degree temperatures, that we plan to market that more. But thanks, this is very interesting.
Yeah, so it's sandalwood, rose, jasmine, citrus, and then saffron.
Yeah. But I didn't give it that much weightage. But when you put chandan on your forehead and it instantly cools your forehead, I mean, there are these beauties in the Indian nukse that nobody is really practicing. I mean, the West practices it and it suddenly becomes a style statement. But if we on a daily end up doing it, our friends are going to be like, what are you doing? So the idea of NASO is just to change that thought process.
Nice. One last question. We do this with every guest. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
There are so many advices I'm receiving on a daily.
Which stayed with you?
I think the most recent advice I received from my father was never to follow the market, follow yourself. And that is stuck with me. And today I'm sharing it with everybody. So they also get the best advice. But yeah, I think the idea is to not follow the rat race and to follow who you are and follow your voice.
Be authentic and the world will follow.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Like yourself, I mean, look at you being so authentic and coming up with such funny questions at such an early age. So, I think it's what we're born to do.
Yeah, I am the age of when you started now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And you won't even understand how much magic you will create in the next 5 years. Because when you're suddenly 28, 29, your elder sister would agree, by the way. Just like, you become so aware of the real life paraphernalia that innocence in you sometimes gets dissuaded. But the idea is to keep the child in you alive and just, go ham with your creativity in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think we all just want to keep our inner child happy.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point.
Most healing part of it all, I feel. Yes.
Thank you so much, Astha. It was lovely having you. And
Thank you so much for having me here. And this was so much fun. And we have to do this again.
thank you so much, Astha. And have a nice day. And see you guys next week.